Hey, look at that. We are recording. Ladies and gentlemen, don't adjust your screen. I know we have some new faces. You guys are like, whoa, where are they? What are they doing? Ladies and gentlemen, that is not the case today. This is JK's Rewatchable Hour. I am your host, JK'z. We have a special show for you tonight. We are here with my wife, Jen, is joining us. And if you remember Deb Maxwell from a few months ago, she has brought some friends with her. We are going to talk about Smile Through the Storms, the survivor story. I would like to welcome Deb, Emily, and Maureen to the show. How are you ladies doing?
Great.
Good. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. Hi, Jen. Thank you again for having us on.
And so, for some of our listeners, you can tell by some of their accents that they are not in our area. They are out in the United States. But this is a group that is formed by Deb. And I really don't have much more to say. So, I'm just going to hand the show over to you, Deb.
Well, thanks, Jeff. Again, I thank you for having me on again this time, and all the help that you've done in getting the word out there about Smile Through the Storms. As I said last time when I was on the show, Smile Through the Storms is a support group for survivors of suicide. I founded the group back in 2014. December 2014 is when we had our first group. And it's all in memory of my son, David. His nickname's Bub, and I refer to him as Bub more than I do his name. David completed suicide on March 5th, 2014. So here in a couple weeks, it'll be 11 years. So Smile Through the Storms was put together because there was no support for me as a survivor to go to be able to talk to anybody about what I was feeling, thinking, going through, anything. And I said, other people have to feel this. They have to have that platform to be able to share. So it's like, if there's not one here, I'm going to make it. So, like I said, Smile Through the Storms had our first group in December of 14. We started out one group a month. Now we do 2 a month. We meet in person and we hold it virtually, which is why I have these awesome survivors here with me too. And we come together and we know it's a safe place to be able to share not only our thoughts and our feelings, but the memories of our loved ones who are not here to make any more memories with us. So yeah, I've introduced my son to him 100 times. We talk about all kinds of different memories and thoughts, and other people go on. Other people, it's like their world didn't stop, but they don't take into consideration that our world did. And they don't get it. And I'm glad they don't get it. But please have a little bit of consideration and respect for us. Well, this is how we have to live every day now. So with Smile Through the Storms in 2019, I think it was, maybe 2020, when COVID hit, I had to take it virtually. And in taking it virtually, I met a whole lot of survivors from across the country. And to this day, the 2 other guests that are here still attend group. And I'm very blessed to have them with me and to walk the journey, not only with me, but all of us together. So there's Emily, and then there's Maureen. So I don't know which one of you ladies would like to talk and share. Go ahead.
Well, I'll go ahead. My son, Joey, was 17 years old when he took his life. He was a junior in high school. And we lived in a suburb of Memphis, Tennessee. Joey was very popular. He was accepting of others. He was non-judgmental. of race or gender, and he was not bullied. A lot of people thought that he took his life. A lot of teenagers do because of bullying. That was not the case for my son. He was not bullied. My At the time I was married, and my husband and I did not see this coming. My son was very good at masking his pain. I actually spoke with him 2.5 hours before he took his life. And I asked him specifically, "How are you doing?" And he said, "Mom, I'm doing great." And I said, as a mom, you're always worried about your kid. And I said, "I've been worried about you." And he said, "There's no reason to be. I'm great. I've got plans for the weekend. I've got plans to meet my friend in the morning for coffee." So I told him I loved him, and he told me he loved me, and I said, "Go study." And I had no idea as he turned around and walked up the steps upstairs that would be the last time I saw him. And I found him the next morning. He hung himself from a doorknob, and it was shocking to find his body. My son found a blog on the internet, and it said how to take your life with 100% success. I did not know these types of blogs existed, but he followed that to a T. We were able to determine that by searches in his phone. He suffered from depression. He was very intelligent. I think he was ahead of his time. He did leave a note, and his note said that he knew this was going to be hard, but this is what he truly wanted, and that he was sorry. And he wrote a message specifically to me stating that he loved me and he knew this would be hard and to stay strong. So it has changed the trajectory of my life, my purpose, my entire future. Joey was my only child, so I didn't get to experience a high school graduation or anything he would do after high school or marriage or children. I mean, I lost so much when this happened, and it changed so much of my life. It's been a struggle. Immediately after my son passed, social media blew up, and because he was a high school student, people thought it was their business to know exactly what happened and that I needed to come out and tell them. And I was struggling myself I was in shock just to figure out what just happened. So it was very, very difficult. And I didn't understand why so many people wanted to know what happened and why it was their business. And but I attended therapy right after my son passed away and continued to for several years. And I struggled because I could not find a therapist or even a physician that had lost their child by suicide. And I wanted to speak to someone who lost their child by suicide. And I was just desperate to find a support group. And I'm in Arkansas and Deb is in New York. So I was searching on the internet one day and I saw Deb's ad on Facebook and for her survivors group. And I immediately clicked on there and said I was interested. And that was 4 years ago. And I attended the first meeting, and Deb told us her story, and she said, "You don't have to participate if you don't want to, you can listen." And by the middle of the meeting, I was sharing my story. And I wasn't sure that I could even share my story at the time. But this group is very important because we as survivors face similar problems. We suffer from complicated grief due to the stigmatization and guilt of losing our children by suicide. And there's shame, there's rejection, there's PTSD. We all have PTSD and depression and anxiety. So there's no other than losing your child. And to add on to that, to lose your child by suicide is just it is, there are no words. There's
It's
no
hard.
other pain. It is. So and parents of children who have completed suicide are at the highest risk of dying by suicide
Yes.
within the first couple of years of their child's death is the time. So it's very important that we as survivors have support and we have each other. And I just feel so grateful that I found Deb that day and logged on, and she has continued to support me over the years. And it's not been an easy journey. I have struggled, and it's hard for friends and family to see you in a constant state of grief, and they don't want to see that, and they don't want to deal with that. So a lot of support that I had just started going away, and it was so hurtful to me. And I never thought, on top of losing my child, that I would lose friends. I thought they would be there, but it's hard to talk about. And as I said before, my friends did not want to see me sad. And one of the hardest things is life goes on, and I felt like my life stopped when my son passed away. But life does keep going, and we have to keep going too. And it's very hard. Deb has been so wonderful to support me. And on my son's 22nd birthday, she was the only one to call me and acknowledge my son's birthday. So, and I so appreciated the fact that Deb remembered, and maybe, knew to call, but it was so hurtful to me that everyone else, my family, my friends, could not reach out to me. And they didn't understand how important that day was. And it's not that I want a whole lot. I just wanted acknowledgement that my son did live. And I do miss him every day.
Exactly. They deserve to be remembered.
Yes. Yes.
Maureen?
Hi, Maureen.
Take your time. There's no rush.
Emily,
And-
that was a terrific story.
Thank you.
I also found Deb, I guess, on the internet. I had reached out to a group in Kansas City several times that I had heard about, and I heard great things about, but they never called back. So I got really discouraged, and it's a really bad time for somebody not to call you back when it's about you're reaching out for help with your son that died. My son had a drug problem, and he had a brain injury. His brain injury, he wasn't supposed to live. One doctor wanted to put him on hospice, and the doctor that did surgery said if it was his son, he would give it some time. He was in a coma. So of course I listened to the son that said, I mean, the doctor that said he would give it some time. Kevin miraculously came out of that coma. And though they had told me that he probably wouldn't walk, he wouldn't talk, he walked, he talked, he came out of everything miraculously. And so he came back home, and it was just a miracle to have him back. Um, but lo and behold, he got back on drugs. He got back on drugs, and then after a while, he got sober. He got sober for like 6 months. He was doing great. And then, like they say, he got around his old friends, the people that he used to hang out with. So he got back on drugs and got sober again, got back on drugs, got sober, and then he got back on drugs with this old friend, old guy that I really couldn't stand. And he got a hold of some really bad drugs. And he was home, he was living at home at the time, and he came up to me and he was not making a lot of sense. It was 12:30 at night, and I just didn't want to deal with whatever he was talking about. And he said something bad's going to happen or something. And his friend had spent the night. And he had told me he's going to go to an NA meeting the next day. And I believed it. And he went downstairs, and I went back to bed. And my daughter's boyfriend came over early that morning because he couldn't get a hold of Kevin. And he went down in the basement. Kevin had a bedroom in the basement. And he came up screaming that Kevin had hung himself. So I went running downstairs, and kind of like Emily, I also found Kevin hanging in his closet. And 911 was telling me to get him down and do CPR, and it was too late. They came out here, and he was already gone. Um, I have 4 kids, but Kevin, for whatever reason, I was so close to Kevin. We said prayers every morning. We, hung out. He was fun. And he was unlike anybody I ever knew. He would always say, "Don't talk about other people. I don't want to hear, I don't want you to talk about it." I'd talk about my other daughter or say something. He'd say, "Don't talk about other people. It's not nice to talk about people." And I'd think, gosh, he's got a point. It's not nice to talk about other people. When he got on the drugs, though, he did, of course, he was depressed, and he'd get better, and then he'd get worse again. And he promised me, I literally remember him promising, "I will never kill myself." And I totally, totally believed that. I didn't think he would ever do that. And it was really hard because, kind of like Emily said, your friends are there when it happens. They're there to go to the funeral or whatever. They're there to call in the beginning, and then your friends kind of forget about things. It's over, and it's not over. And Deb, just like she does to Emily, and I don't know how many people, she calls me or texts me or whatever on the day that he passed away, and on his birthday. And so, and that means a lot. My church has a deal every year for if you've lost someone to whatever, if you've lost a loved one. And the last year, that day happened to be on Kevin's birthday. And I was so glad because I didn't have to be sad on that day. I was able to, I was with my sister-in-law, and we celebrated instead of thinking sad things. We celebrated. It was his birthday. Um, and ever since, this happened, It was probably a month or so. I don't know. Deb probably knows more than I do. When I found Smile Through the Storms, because I found it, I guess, on, I don't know if it was Facebook or what. Um, but Deb always reminds me this story that really gets me. And she says, Kevin was up in the sky and Kevin saw Bub, and Bub said, tell Kevin to call my mom. Kevin, call my mom. Tell your mom to call my mom. I'm sorry, I'm kind of messed
Okay.
up. Yeah, tell Kevin to call my mom. And
Yep.
so I called Deb and got a hold of her. And this group is amazing. It's like, I mean, there's a deal at a church down the street from where I live, and they want you to go through a class and all this stuff. I don't want to go through a class. Why would I need a class? This is like a family group. I feel so connected. And one day I was looking for something. I was looking for a picture of a friend of mine. And I happened to get in my closet and I found this big box, and it was, I didn't even know what it was, but it was all of Kevin's things. And I couldn't move it. I put it on my bed. I was frozen. And I called Deb. I didn't know what to do. And she said, do you want to look at that stuff? And I said, no, I don't. And she stayed on the phone with me while I put that box away. She said, don't put it somewhere you're not going to know where it is, but put it away for now. And that's exactly what I did. That sounds like such a simple thing. Or, somebody could tell somebody that it's not a big deal. That day, I couldn't do anything. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know whether to look through it when I didn't want to look through it. I didn't know how to put it away without her telling me, put that away, put that back in the closet and look at it another time. And so there have been so many things that Deb has been there for me that nobody, there isn't anybody, family or friends that I can really talk to, but someone that has lost their loved one in this manner understands, and she certainly does. Um, I could talk to Deb about things I can't talk to anybody else about, and feel better, instead of feel worse. Or um, there's even I have some of Kevin's clothes. I got rid of most of them, but there's certain ones that, are Kansas City Royals. He's got shirts and stuff, and I saved that, and I've saved some things. But those are good memories, they're not bad memories. And when we get together on our meetings, we talk about, our son, but we also talk about some good things, and have laughter. It's not just all sad and, what's going on. And it's just a lot of things that we talk about and share that we probably can't share with other people, or not able to. So that's all I have for now.
Um, I just need to take a second. Yeah. Jen, do you have anything to ask or say before? I was making some notes, and first of all, I just want to say, Deb, Emily, and Marie, the courage and the strength that you have right now to come on, and just speak from the heart. That I can't even put into words what that says about you. It takes a tremendous amount of courage and strength. Um, and I remember, and just going with Emily and Maureen, when we had Deb on the show telling her story, Jen knows this as well. I was so nervous to do the show. We had some of the other JK'z rewatchable hour with us, and I was so nervous because I it just it's a subject that I don't really want to talk about or whatever. And listening to Deb talk, and it it made the show a lot easier. And as Emily and Maureen are talking, I'm like, Deb is just out here helping people. And you're all familiar with Deb's story. Jen, you remember there was nobody after a while that was coming around. I'm not trying to uh, put words out there, but everybody knows Deb's story if they watch the show. You know, Deb lost her comfort. Everybody just was like, didn't have the time for her. They were like,
Yeah.
you know, I know remember Jen, she told us that somebody said to her, you know, get over it or something like that, or has it been long enough?
Right. You're not over that yet.
And oh yeah, and I think everybody on the show's mouths dropped, like, I can't believe somebody said it. And here, Deb knows what you two are going through, and she is just, she is your lady's comfort zone. Especially,
Yes.
you guys said there was nobody around you. There, you know, there was
Right.
nothing there. I can't. I am just shocked that because of the situation that everybody just like evaporated from your life. Like they were just pushed you away and like didn't want to deal with you guys. I mean, that's pretty horrible feeling. And the other notes I was taking, I just want to, you know, well, one was Deb's comfort, but Emily, I think you said it. You have the right support group, and I
Yeah.
think that's really important. And I know after talking with Deb on the first show, if Jen remembers, because she had nobody, she decided to go out and make this huge support group. And to be honest, I had no idea it stretched out of where she lives. And you both are in separate states. And,
Yes.
you know, if you guys just want to take a couple minutes to just retouch upon the importance and the powerful impact of the support that Deb has opened up to people.
Well, I will say for me, it's I called I called in 4 years ago, and I'm doing so much better than I was doing 4 years ago. Just being able to share how I'm feeling with someone who understands and someone that is available. Deb is so gracious with her time. I have called her and I've tried to pass it off like I'm doing okay, and she said, "No, Emily, you're not. You know, tell me what's really going on." You know, when no one else wanted to listen, and it's I'm I'm in Little Rock, Arkansas, so I'm a long way from Elmira, New York, and I just feel so lucky that I found her. And I don't know if I would be in this spot right now if I had not.
That's perfectly said. Yeah, Maureen.
I shared with Deb, my son has been gone. November 15th is his, um, what do you call it, Deb? Angel anniversary.
Angelversary.
Angelversary. I'm a
Yes.
recovering alcoholic, and I had celebrated 30 years on November 15th. When they said it was November 15th that we were going to have the share date, I thought, oh my God, that's the date that Kevin died. I don't know what to do. And I wanted to do it on that date. And instead of turning it into, oh no, I'll have to do it another date, I turned it into something on a positive note. Kevin died from drugs, but then he hung himself, but he hung himself under they found lots of drugs in his system. And so me sharing on my 30 years, I also shared that it was my son's 3-year angelversary. So and if anybody would be listening that would get a hold of some drugs or thinking drugs are okay, or you got them from a friend, think again, because Kevin thought he had some drugs that were just, going to get him messed up. He didn't know. They told me when they did an autopsy on my son, and even if he didn't hang himself, he would have died from those drugs. So I shared that when I had my 30-year anniversary. Um, I also shared about my son. So it was a twofold, celebration. And Kevin would have been more than happy that I was celebrating along. He was celebrating along with me on that date. rather than saying, oh, I can't do it on that date. It turned into a good day instead of, a bad day, because you can sit around and dwell on the past and think, oh, this day's a. I try to keep busy on his birthday, something good. On the day that he passed away, I don't want to, think all bad things. His sisters also are going through a lot too, just like I am, and I kind of wish they would join our group sometimes, because I mention it to him. It would probably help them. He's got twin sisters that are 36, and then another sister that's 38. And the one that's 38 was at his hospital bedside every day for like a month. Even though she had kids at home, she was holding his hand, waiting for him to wake up. And she was there when he woke up. I had to be at work. I had a job. I had to be after it, after taking off for weeks, I had to be at work. And my oldest daughter was literally with Kevin every day, every night. Um, so, it's hard on everybody. Um, but that this group is amazing, because like Emily said, we've gotten to know each other so well. And I think that, some of these others, I don't know that they're that close knit. And I don't know that you couldn't just pick up the phone like I did that day. I had a shoebox of Kevin's keychain, his driver's license, his wallet, and it just messed me up. But I called Deb and I was okay. I put the box away for now, and I thank her every day for being around. I keep a card she gave me and things from Christmas. I mean, she's a very giving, unbelievable person. That I'm not glad that she's in my life for the reason that she's in my life, but I'm glad she's in my life.
Absolutely.
But now, can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, now it's my turn. Because you see, I am so blessed that these women are there. They help me too. So it's not just, I did this platform to be able to, for all survivors to be able to help heal one another, because you can't learn it in a book. I've had people ask me, where did you get your education? Who gave you the right to do a support group? I paid the biggest price. My son took his life. So I think I'm pretty damn qualified to be able to put a platform together. There is no therapy that's offered. There is no educational thing. We get our comfort and our therapy from each other. And you can't buy that. So in doing all of this, yeah, I do things for the group. We do the Christmas ornaments. We had a retreat, a healing day retreat, which I am so thrilled to say I'm doing one this year. And these two ladies right here, they're coming in here to New York to go to our retreat.
Hi.
So that's family. That's not just a support group. That's what family does.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hold your thoughts, lady. I'm just going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come right back. Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. I am joined by my wife, Jennifer. This is JK's Rewatchable Hour. This is part 2. We are joined by Deb, Emily, and Maureen. This is Smile Through the Storm Survivor Story. In the first part, I was taking some notes, and I just wanted to reiterate. I believe it was Maureen who said on your son's birthday you decided to have a positive day and you were celebrating. Um, I took that as you had said, I don't want to be sad today. I want to celebrate and I want to be happy. And I want to remember all the good things. To each lady, and you can answer individually. Is that something that you find that you do on the angelversary or birthday or something like that?
You want me to go first? I'll go first.
Whoever. I'm
Yeah. Okay, so as you're aware, Jeff, and I know my girls are, I think Jennifer is too. For the past 7 years, Smile Through the Storms does a toy drive.
Mhm.
Okay, the toy drive got started because Bub's birthday is the day after Christmas. So in having his birthday the day after Christmas for the first few years after his death, I couldn't do the holidays because the holidays and then his birthday right afterwards, it's like, what the heck? So then it's almost like he was sitting on my shoulder saying to me, Ma, what are you doing? I love Christmas. He loves sparklies. So it's like, okay, I got to do something that is in honor of him. So then I started doing the toy drive. And now this last year, the toy drive, Smile Through the Storms toy drive, we have 4 different locations that we deliver toys to. And this year, each location received between $500 and $600 worth of toys,
awesome.
which I just say to the boy, happy birthday, Merry Christmas, kid. On his angelversary for the past 3 years, well, this year will be the 3rd year, I personally do a pet food drive because doing the pet food drive, Bub loved animals. Any kind of animal, he loved snakes, he did all of that. And it's like he loved dogs, everything. So I take in donations of pet needs and divide them up between Elmira Animal Shelter and Southern Tier Animal Control. So that's how I do him for those days, because it's like we say in group, I don't like to look at the day that they passed away being all kinds of down with a dark cloud and everything, because then people are just putting a highlight as to how they passed away. How about we focus on how they lived? And
Exactly.
by cracky, they all deserve to be remembered. So I play my son's music. I make his favorite foods. I sit right here and look at his picture. This year I did this. I think I told you guys about this. Looked at his picture and said, boy, are you missing out because this is rocking, you know? And I live alone. So you just do things to get through those days. And if I can have a little joke in there, I know the boys up there laughing, saying, yeah, Mom, you're right. I am missing out. So that's how I do it.
Thank you
But
for that.
it's taken a long time to get to this point. I still have really bad days. I always will. But we can't make any more new memories, so we got to go on what we have already there.
And that is so tough. And we don't have any new pictures. We
Right.
are hanging on to the last photos that we have.
I know one thing that's really hard. My son had a dry erase board, and he had written that he was going to go to the NA meeting tomorrow at 7 o'clock at the location where he was going, and that was the night before he passed away. And I when I cleaned his room, I took a picture of that dry erase board. It's in my phone that
Yep.
I'm going to the NA meeting tomorrow at 7. You know, it's a twofold. I mean, it's I couldn't get rid of it. And it's, like I said, I took a picture of it in my phone. His intentions were to get clean again, and that didn't happen. But he had that reminder that he was going to go to an NA meeting the next day.
Emily?
The birthdays and the anniversary of my son's passing are the two hardest days of the year for me. I don't know which, and you don't know how it's going to hit you. I wanted so much to just get to that first year mark. And I thought, if I can get through this first year, I can get through anything. And I thought it would be the worst year. And it turned out that, this going into the second year was even harder. And I just did not see that coming. And suicide is such a difficult topic, and people don't want to talk about it. And for some reason, when people do not want to discuss my son to me, thinking thinking they may be hurting my feelings by talking about him, and it will not hurt my feelings. I want my son to be remembered and how he lived, and that he was a very fun and smart kid. And it pains me to know that when some people think of Joey, they immediately think of suicide. He died by suicide.
And
Go ahead.
I don't think that people realize for every person that dies by suicide, there's a ripple effect. And in that ripple effect goes out through, and that one death touches close to 130 people by one person dying. Now, if we could just get people to realize we're all affected by this person's passing away, please, let's talk about him. Stop turning your back on us, the survivors, the parent of this child, because it doesn't matter if the child is 10 years old or 45 years old. We, the moms, it's still that's our child. So if people would just talk with us about it, about their lives, what they did, the memories that they have of our children interacting with them that maybe we don't know about. And I tell people, don't be stingy with those memories. Share them with us because we want to know. But people do. I have had a family member not too long ago finally come out and apologize to me and say, I'm sorry, I don't talk about him. They're not around. They don't come and do anything. They don't talk about. And she goes, it hurts me to do that. Well, hell, you don't think it hurts me that you don't do it? So come on. So I think all people need to be educated about that, about all of it.
You just said it perfectly, Deb. The educational part, and I'm shocked, but I guess I'm not. You all have one of the things you all said was everybody was there in the beginning, and then everybody just was like scattered. And some of the notes I took was, obviously I know Deb, Emily, Maureen, you all were looking for somebody or something to listen to. You guys searched the internet, you this, that, the other thing, and what I wrote down was the right listener. Yeah, I can't read my handwriting. I apologize. Oh, and the feeling of being alone. I apologize. And yet, when something like this, you should have a comfort zone.
Right.
Not comfort zone, but a huge comfort around you. And yet, each one of you were left alone, almost like you had the plague. And as Deb said, she was looking for somebody, she had nobody. You guys, then all of a sudden, because of Deb, you all now have this support group, and you're all in your own way are spreading the message. And
Mhm.
I got to tell you that is powerful. That is, you know, like I said in the first half, it takes tremendous courage and strength just to come on a live broadcast like this and speak how you ladies are speaking, and sitting here telling that you were alone, that you were alienated, but now because of Smile Through the Storms, there's all of these people that are spreading the message, that are there for you. And like Maureen said, she picked up the phone and called Deb.
Yeah.
Imagine, I wanted to just say this correctly, and I apologize if I don't. Imagine how easy, I guess I want to say, if at any moment before you found Deb and Smiles with the Storms, if you all had somebody you could pick up the phone and feel that comfort that you all have now.
And that's the thing about it though, Jeff. When Bub first passed away, well, shortly thereafter, about the first month, and then people would say, call me if you need anything. Call me if you need anything. And it's like, how about y'all realize we're the ones that are hurting? How about instead of expecting us to reach out, y'all reach in? I mean, the last thing that I'm going to do when I'm already down and out is pick up the phone to somebody that I'm going to feel like I'm intruding in on their time, that if they wanted to be here to help me, they'd be here without me having to ask them. Now, can I call either one of these women? In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. It's just a different level of understanding, because they get where I'm at and I get where they're at.
Which is, to me, I think that's really important. I'm not taking away I'm not defending anybody, but I think, you say that you understand from their point and so on. I think that's, yeah, I just didn't want to take away anything that the powerful statement that you were saying. And Emily or Maureen, if you want to chime in with anything along those lines.
I agree. If I call Deb, I do not feel like I'm bothering her. She's there and totally understanding whatever might be what I'm calling about, or what I'm bothered, or what I'm sad about or not sad about. Deb does not make me feel like I'm bothering her, or there is it's not that important what I have to talk about. I always feel like she's there because she wants to be there. And that's the difference. Other people, they just don't get it. And they do think, well, it's been a long time. It's been 3 years. I don't know that somebody has ever said you ought to be over it by now, but they obviously, like Deb said, people don't pick up the phone and call and say, well, how you doing? I know you've had a rough time, or I know you missed your son. People don't do that. Yeah, they'll say, call if you need anything. Well, how is that a very outreaching thing? I'm not going to call somebody what do I need? I don't need anything. You can't give me back my son. So, but I think the group that we have is unbelievable. Like I said, it's a lot closer knit than going up to this church that they have, and they have you taking I don't know what they have you taking a class for, but I was so glad when I found Deb's group, because right off the bat, I knew that was where I needed to be. So, and I don't ever feel like I'm invading her privacy or bothering her or anything like that. So, that's a good feeling.
Emily?
As I stated before, I don't know what I would have done had I not found Deb, because I I struggled, and so many people just scattered from my life. And when I went through a very, very strong period of depression, it very hard, and she was one of the very few people there for me. And I'm in Arkansas. So
Can you tell?
and so it's just the fact that I have, been able to communicate, just to have someone that I know I can call and will answer the phone and is not bothered by what I'm saying and will listen, and just it's just there for you. And we need support. And I am not asking for a lot. I just want acknowledgement that my son lives. And for example, if someone would just call and say, "Hey, it's Joey's birthday. I know you miss him." Or a text.
I was just taking a moment there. Jen, do you have anything do you want to ask or add before?
Oh.
So as I was making some notes, I remember Emily, you said that you didn't want to talk to somebody who could not relate to you, is basically what you
Right.
meant. So I had wrote down that you guys are walking the journey together. I think that's very powerful. If somebody was to stop you, say on the subway or in the local market or whatever, you guys are getting gas, whatever, don't matter. And if somebody, what would be your message to somebody that just opened up and just started talking about a loved one that completed suicide? I hope I worded that correctly. I apologize if I didn't.
And I thank you for that.
Yeah.
I learned from the first show, Deb. If in your own words, each of you, if Mrs. Smith or was just stroke up a conversation for whatever reason, what would be the first things out of your mouth to them? Just so when people hear this, like, okay, so you're in Missouri or Kansas City, you're in New York, you're in Arkansas. If somebody was to hear this out in Hawaii who has been looking for help, just in your own words, what would each of you say to a complete stranger or to somebody that I guess, to anyone?
I would share exactly what I did. That I did, and I did try very hard to reach out for local support, and there wasn't much here. There was a grief share group, which is what I believe Maureen is talking about, and that's general. That's grief in general, and suicide grief is different than other deaths. It's more complicated, and people don't want to talk about it. It's so important to talk about. So I would, if I just met someone that told me they just lost a loved one to suicide, I would, and it's so painful to hear that. It hurts so much to hear. I feel like I take it a little more personal since it happened to me, because I know what's coming for them. And the things that we just talked about that I didn't expect, that I would have people that would, came to me and said, "Emily, I'm always going to be here for you. Don't worry about it. You can call me." They went away. They got tired of hearing it. They told me it was time for me to get it together and stop grieving. And I was actually diagnosed as a formal diagnosis with extended grief syndrome.
Yeah, I was checked.
What was that again? I'm sorry.
Extended grief
syndrome.
Mm-hmm. So you grieve too long?
Yes. Yes. Basically, I have been grieving too long. My son had been had passed away. It'd only been 4.5 years, and I got diagnosed with the extended grief syndrome. So I'm supposed to get over it. I'm supposed to be done with it. I was shocked. I did not know how to respond to that. And I didn't respond well to the physician that told me that. And I said, you have no idea. You have not lost your child. And there's no time limit on how long I should grieve.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna. There is no timetable on grief, so there is. Yeah, there. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. There is no timetable, and I am sorry that whatever stupid physician told you that. I sorry. Go ahead, Deb. I just I think stupid stuff like that just really pisses people off. Like when they say, oh, so I only have this much grieving time. No. Go ahead, Deb.
I was so, excuse my language, but pissed beyond no doggone belief when she shared that with me. I said, maybe that individual should be thankful that they don't know the hell and the pain that we have gone through every single day since our child did pass away. So, but that one's all done and taken care of, and we've moved on from that asinine situation because it's amazing. So, but how I would approach somebody who came up to me, and what I would ask them? Introduce me to your loved one. Tell me about your loved one. Because you know what? Nobody asks. So I don't want to know how the person died. We already know that the person took their life. Introduce me to that person. And it puts a little sparkle in an eye. It takes a little bit of warmth in the heart, because I wish people would have asked me. And then everything just moves from that point going forward. You grab a cup of coffee, you sit down, you take the time to listen, because that's what people don't do anymore. They do not take the time. I got all the time in the world. And I want to hear, introduce me to your loved one. Yeah.
Maureen.
I think sometimes people are afraid to talk about it. They're afraid that you don't want to discuss it. And that's the total opposite of the truth. I do want to talk about my son. I don't want to act like it never happened and well that was 3 years ago, so let's go on with your life, let's go on. And I think that's a great thing what Deb said. You do want to talk about your loved one, your son, your daughter. You do want to tell people what kind of person they were, what their good traits were, what good things that you remember. Because like I was saying, Kevin didn't like people talking about people. I mean, we're all guilty of that. Somebody walks out the door and you're like, oh God, that person, that person. And we did that around here. My daughters did that about talking about their friend or something. Kevin always would say, please don't talk about somebody. Please don't talk about other people. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear bad things about anybody. And that was so unusual, especially girls. I mean, I'm not trying to girls talk about people, but Kevin had a lot of good traits. And there was the day that happened with Kevin, my sister-in-law. She's older than me. I mean, she's in her 70s. She was in her 70s. She brought a picture of Kevin, this big, I guess, 11 by 14. And I was so pissed off that day. I wasn't able to look at his picture at that time, of course. That was the day that He died, and I have that picture on my wall now, and it makes me happy every single day to look at his picture. I love it. And I think I've told that. I know Deb has shared things like that. You know, his picture is a good thing. You know, it's good to look at Kevin's picture now.
Yep.
And we did that at the church service. They had us bring a picture of your loved one, and was I was surprised I had the that I was able to walk up to the front of the church and talk about my son. You know, you had a choice. You didn't have to do that, but I talked about Kevin, and the minister was so supportive, you know, but again, I also have this group to thank. You know, I'm not just, you know, going to church and then talking, and this group is always around, and Deb's always around, and she always I I mean, she answers her phone. Other people, you know, you call and you always get the message thing, and but Deb's always around, and that's what I really appreciate it. And you know, I don't think, and I'm just biased, but I don't know that there's another group like our group.
There's not.
There
Um,
is.
No,
What'd you say?
there's not.
There, the support that Deb gives is just amazing. And I'll tell you something very interesting that we have found out in sharing stories with each other about our sons is they seem to have some similarities in their personality.
Yeah.
Deb and I, my son was 17 years old and listened to the same music that Deb's son listened to, and he was
Yep.
34. So,
Yep.
and as Maureen said, you know, Kevin didn't like to talk about other people. My son did not like that either. And my son actually scolded me for that and said, you know, Mom, you're being too judgmental. And I heard what you said. And I was really proud of him for saying that. I knew that took a lot of guts and made me think twice about what I was saying. And just interesting that all of these boys that have or suicide, they just seem to have such gentle and kind and caring personalities.
Yes. Yep. You know, they're all helpful. They all have a loving spirit. They don't think of themselves. They're always there to think of others. That's why, and in our group, and I don't share it with just these two ladies, but the other participants too. I truly believe our angels are all up there. Whenever we're together, our angels are together too, and they're looking down. And I swear I've seen a cartoon of this. You know, one tapping the other one on the shoulder. That's my mom. Which one's yours? You know, and I know that, and that warms my heart. I wish that we would have met in a different manner, though. They're awesome people, and I'm blessed to have them.
One of the things that just a few things that I've taken is and I apologize if I misspeak. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. From the tragedy, I apologize if that is the wrong word. From to going to being alone, you all have found one another for a common cause, and that was not only for individuality. I think I want to say that, but it was also for each other. And as Deb said, you're all flying into New York to
Yes.
be with her. Um, um, I'm just trying to word it correctly. I apologize. It's just out of the tragedy came something positive. I apologize if that.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh
thank you.
no, you're right.
Thank you. I was a little. So you know, we got about, you know, like 7 minutes left. I'm just gonna I just wanted to say make sure that I was correct in saying that to our listeners. Um, so for the last 7 minutes, I didn't know if we covered everything. We can do another part 3. I'm okay with that. I just don't want to take away any importance that if we didn't touch on something or talk about. So I'll open the floor for all 3 of you ladies.
Well, I think it's important to mention that Deb is going to have a retreat in September.
Smile through the storms.
Yes,
Just having the retreat.
yes, Smile through the storms. Yes.
Yeah.
And it is going to be September
13th.
13th.
Location right now is up in the air, but I'm going to look at a camp retreat site not far away from where we're at here. It's over in Beaver Dams. And just like last year, it'll be a healing day. And everything that Smile Through the Storms does, there's no charge to any of the survivors for anything. The big man upstairs makes it possible that all things are done and taken care of. And the survivors just come and we get to bond, to heal, and to be together. Yep.
And anybody who listens to this or watches this, they could contact anybody through Smile of the Storms. That I'm going to put out. I'm going to upload all of the information for Smile Through the Storm. So anybody with any questions or okay, perfect. Wanted to make sure.
Yep. All the contact information is up on the website for Smile Through the Storms.
I'll definitely make sure I put that up there.
Thank you.
Again, I want to emphasize that Deb has these 2 meetings a month, but she's, as Maureen said, she's there for you. Not only just those 2 days. And it's just what she doesn't like to take credit for all the hard work she does, but she's working very hard and she's changing a lot of people's lives, and she's definitely changed mine. And I'm very thankful.
I love you.
I love you. I don't know where I would be right now.
You know, no, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you.
No, had I not met her, I just don't know. It's so important to find support.
It is.
Obviously Jen and I cannot relate. And I don't mean that in a bad way. But listening just to you ladies, there was no help, there was no support in your towns, your areas. And I want this show, and we can do future shows as well. I want every town, every nook and cranny of every place in the world to have some legit support group. Like you said, Emily, you didn't want to go talk to somebody who didn't have knowledge. And I think it's really important, to talk to somebody who can relate and not judge you and make you feel safe. And if we I want us to come back and do more shows whenever you ladies are ready. Bring more people. Let's spread the message more. This is a very powerful message. I learned a lot today. I learned a lot from the first show with Deb, and I think it's really crappy that people don't have what you guys have currently. And Emily, I think it was you who said that the adults of the people who lose an individual to suicide are also
yes.
So I mean, imagine if somebody could pick up the phone, a 24-hour hotline to somebody who actually cares. And yeah, let's do some more shows if you ladies want.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, this really isn't about promoting JK'z Rewatchable. This is just spreading an important message. Each one of you ladies have a tremendous amount of strength and courage. And I fully respect everything that you shared. You showed emotion, and you just spoke from the heart. And I think that's really, really important. You have tremendous courage going on a live show. And we're going to get your message out, and we're going to do this several times until every town has a support group.
Thank you,
Thank
Jeff.
you.
And
Thank you.
so we'll set up another show. I just want to say, I'm not sure of the time zones where everybody's at, but I just want to say thank you for coming on the show. And with that, if there's nothing else left, I'm just going to say thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Let's get the message out that we need more support groups because it's just the right thing to do. And Deb, thank you for putting this show together. This is really because of you. And thank you, Emily and Maureen, for coming on to the show, and Jen. Just really appreciate you. I just can't keep on saying thank you enough, and we're going to get your message out.
Thank
Thank you
Jeff.
so much.
All right. With that, I'm just going to stop recording. Oh, hit the wrong button. Of course I